My name is Christopher Warnock. I'm an attorney in Iowa City in Johnson County, Iowa. And this video is intended as an explanation and assistance for people as part of my People's Law School Access to Justice initiative to assist people in doing electronic filing with the EDMS system in the Iowa courts. I very much believe in small claims court as the people's court. You don't need a lawyer to represent yourself, either if you're suing or being sued. But even though the procedure is simplified, the same law applies as in the regular trial court. And even the procedure for small claims can be confusing and complex if you're not used to it. So what I'm trying to do with this is to give people some assistance. This is not a substitute for having an attorney. I undoubtedly will be, making mistakes or misstating things. Also, it's going to depend on your individual case. But hopefully what this is going to do is give you a visual in the recording. You can actually see how to go ahead and register with EDMS and then how to start a case. And that will at least get you started and give you a push forward so you can start learning this on your own. Because if you're able to, work in small claims court and represent yourself, it's almost like a superpower. It really is a very empowering experience. And, you at that point don't have to be worried about not having a lawyer. You can go ahead and defend yourself or do the case yourself. So for the past couple years, all filings in the Iowa courts have to be done electronically. It's technically you can do a paper filing, but in practice, what you're going to do is if you go to the courthouse, they're just going to set you up just like I am now with an EDMS account and then help you scan the stuff. So you really want to take advantage of the electronic filing. And if you can't do that, you're really cutting yourself off from access to the courts. But it's really pretty straightforward. What you're going to do is if you go to Iowa, if you search on Google Iowa online filing or electronic filing in Iowa, you get this electronic filings at the Iowa courts. And then what you're going to do then is request an account. And then you go to this user agreement. And then at the bottom here, you're going to say, yeah, I've read it. Agree to comply with it. And one of the things that's useful about this is that all the information from the court is going to come to you by email. They're not going to be mailing you anything. And in addition, just because you don't mess up the EDMS or you can't get the emails or something, that doesn't count. I mean, if they send you that email, then you're considered to be served. So don't try to go in and say, oh, I didn't get the email or something like that. I mean, it's on you to monitor your account and to make sure that you know what's going on in the filings. So that's very important as you go through this. Okay, so again, as I was saying, I agree and submit to this. Then what you're going to do is choose the role that you're playing here. For the most part, if you're representing yourself, you're going to be here, check here, registered filer. Now, keep in mind that unless you're an attorney, generally you can't represent other people. So if you have a daughter or, your son or a friend of yours, or you have your parents or something that are elderly, if they don't want anything to do with the case, you're going to need to get an attorney. Now, you can certainly help them out with it. I mean, you can help them fill things out. But when it comes to court and as far as doing the filings, they need to be doing that. And I mean, you can sort of do it in their name electronically. But when you get to court, they're going to need to be representing themselves. Now, the exception to that is in certain situations, if you have a corporation or a business, for example, if you own an LLC or something, you can show up and represent the LLC if you're the owner. Also, in a landlord-tenant situation, the landlord, the owner of the property, doesn't have to show up. The management company or an employee of the management company can actually do the case, either for an eviction or for damages on behalf of the owner of the property. But for the most part, you're going to be a registered filer here, and select that. And then you go to you can see they say pro se. Pro se is a legal term that means you're representing yourself. Then you need to fill out all these asterisked indications here. Those are required, and it's also useful to give the additional information if you can. The phone number is actually useful because occasionally that can be very useful information. Default county, you might want to put that in there. I would be Johnson County. Then you say submit, And they don't do test ones, so I can't do it this way. But my recollection is that they just, set you up and send you an email, and then you're all set up. And make sure, obviously, that you write down that username and password that you've chosen, and then, be careful about keeping track of that information so you don't lose it. Okay, so once you're registered with them and set up, then you can go to you can start logging in when you need to. So this is my account, this is my username, and then my password. So I just log in, and this is the main kind of page as far as accessing all the various things that you can do as a filer. Now, some of this may be a little different because I'm an attorney, but hopefully it won't be that different, and you can follow along with it on the registered filer thing. So one of the things here is that you can, under My Cases, hit that button, and if you have one or more cases going, they'll show those cases. There's the name of the case, here's the case number, what type of case it is, what county it's in, and then what you can do is if you hit this little plus mark here, then this shows all the pleadings that have so far been filed in the case. And if you want to take a look at one of those pleadings, for example, here's an exhibit in the case. You can open it up and then with your PDF reader. So I just pick my PDF reader there, and then you can take a look at it. That's an exhibit. And you can see the filing here. It was filed on the date on the blue line at the top there with the clerk of the Johnson County Court. Okay, so let's go ahead and go back to home here and go ahead and file a new case. And I'm going to basically just walk you through the process of doing that. This is going to be for a small claims case. Okay, case type, small claims. Anything else you don't want to be doing. It's small claims is tough enough trying to do those cases. Okay, so the types of cases. Okay, normally in a small claims case, I'm going to explain today how to do a money judgment. Money judgment is a case where you're asking for money damages. Small claims, you can only get money damages and up to $6,500 and then a very limited number of other things. So, for example, if you came in and you said, I want to order that so-and-so stays away from you or something like that, that's not something you can get in small claims. The small claims court does not have the jurisdiction to handle that. The other thing that you would potentially be doing in small claims would be an eviction if you were a landlord or you had a tenant. That's this forcible entry here. Those are actually very, very complex. And if you've never done them before, I would recommend getting an attorney. That's something that I handle as well. But a money judgment certainly is something you can handle yourself. Okay, so let's click money judgment. And this is what they call the electronic cover sheet. Now, you pick the county. Now, in terms of the county, what you're going to want to do is the person who files a case is called the plaintiff. They're the one with the complaint. And then the person defending the case is the defendant. And the way things work in Iowa are that you generally need to sue the defendant in the county where they live. The exception to that would be a situation where you had a contract and that was meant to take place in a particular county, or where the damage that took place in a particular county. So, for example, if you rented an apartment in Johnson County and you didn't get your security deposit back, you could sue the landlord here in Johnson County District Court in the Small Claims Division. So check the county. The case title is the name of the case, and the name of the case is the name of the plaintiff. In this case, the example is going to be John Doe. And then you always put, if there's multiple plaintiffs, you put their names. Then V means versus, and then the Richard Rowe. Okay, is the example we're going to use. And then Sam Smith is also the second defendant. Now, if you have a lot of defendants, what you can do is to say et al. If you don't have room for their names in there, you can et al. And that's just the Latin abbreviation for and others. But if you can, you want to list the names of everybody in the case. And so the prayer amount is how much you're asking for as damages. Small claims, if you ask for more than $6,500, you can't do it in small claims. So it needs to be $6,500 or less. It's not unusual for people to sort of just every time they do a small claims case ask for $6,500. don't do that unless you actually have a valid claim for $6,500. I mean, put in the amount of money that you have a valid claim for. I mean, you don't have to undercut yourself, but at the same time, and I think that the prayer in this case was $4,500 was my recollection for my sample petition that I was going to be using. So then we're going to add my parties. Okay, so your parties, in this case, you're the plaintiff if you're filing the case. So you're going to put your name in here. So we're just going to go ahead and put John Doe, and you need to put at least one of these indications in here, either the social security number or driver date of birth. The court is not public information. They'll keep it confidential, but they need that information in order to make sure that there's more than one person with your name, to make sure that they don't get it mixed up. So in their system, they need to have a unique identifier for you. So let's just make up a social security number. Okay, and then the address here is, let's just again, this needs to correspond. I'm not going to worry about this to what's on the petition, but I'm just going to, okay, so city, Iowa City here. A lot of cities. Okay, Iowa City. And they'll check if you get the wrong zip code. So make sure you get the zip code right. They'll check that with the city. Okay. So next, okay, so you can see here it pops up John Doe, plaintiff, and because I'm an attorney, it pops up as Warnock, but that won't be in there for that. Now, other parties, like I said, we've got, these are defendants. We've got two defendants, Richard Rowe, and like I said, I'm not sure exactly what, we're just going to make these up. Okay, so next. Okay, so we got the plaintiff, we got the defendant. Let's just go ahead and take that. We're not gonna, again, you need to make sure that what information you're adding in here corresponds to the petition that you file. So be careful to make sure that all the information you enter corresponds to the, and it's as accurate as possible. Okay, so we have here a plaintiff and defendant. Okay, so now we're at the point at which we would be filing the document. So if we just go up to here to small claims common filings, okay, and then document type is going to be, let's see here, small claims, original notice. Let's see here. C, small claims original notice. That's what you want to file. Okay, so that's what it is. Small claims original notice and petition. So that's the petition. Original notice is the document. So then what you're going to do is do a browse here. And I actually have a petition set up on my desktop here. It's John Doe petition. Okay, so I'm going to open that. So you, and then you add. Okay, now what you can do here is, in a small claims case, we're doing a money judgment. You can try to get the opposite parties to be filed by certified mail. So just click that, and that's, you can do that in a money judgment. You can't do it in an FED, in an eviction. Okay, so then let's hit next. Okay, so you can see here's the petition, and if you want to take a look at it here, we just hit this petition, and let's just take a look at the petition, what it looks like. Okay, now this is a fillable form. I took the basic electronic form and I put a bunch of fields in it so you could actually fill it out. And you can see here I've got John Doe and the address, and then this one is set up for two defendants. And it says notified demands you $4,500. And then just a brief explanation. I put here defendants were tenants of plaintiff, moved out without paying 2 months rent, so 2 times $1,500, that's $3,000, and did $1,500 worth of damage after subtracting the deposit. So the total that the plaintiff is saying they owe is $3,000 plus $1,500 or $4,500. Okay, and then you see John Doe here at the bottom, and then his address, phone number, and email. Those are all required. So that's what you need to do for that. Okay, so then the next thing you do is hit next, and then at the bottom here, now the plaintiff needs to pay $85 for the filing fee and then $10 for the certified mail. Okay, so basically you need to pay by credit card. So you pick that, John Doe, pay by credit card, and then when you hit submit the filing here, and I'm not going to do this because I don't want to end up getting charged or having a problem or having this go through. You hit the submit the filing, then you get to a page that has all the credit card information. You fill out your credit card information, and then you submit that, and then you come back to a page that looks like this that says that it's been submitted. Then what's going to happen is it'll get sent to the court, and the court's going to review it. And if there's any problem, they're going to kick it back to you. And they'll explain what the problem is, with the filing. Now, what you want to do is if you follow the instructions that I had and use the fillable form, just make sure all the information is accurate, and then it corresponds. The information you entered corresponds to what's on the petition. Then what will happen is if it gets approved, you get an email saying it's approved, and then you can go look here. If you look in notifications, there's actually instructions on the email. If you look at notifications, and then you go to it'll say that, petition and original notice. You hit this button here, and there's a special version of that with it filed with the blue line on the top, like you can see. And then there's an additional page with the court's that's added to it, that the court has had a filing page and accepted it with a court seal on it. That's what you need to print out, and if you're going to keep a copy. Now, if the service works, if they pick up the certified mail, you're set, and the court was just going to go ahead and set a hearing. In that case, either they'll answer or there'll be a default and you get a hearing. If they don't pick it up, then you have to do service through the sheriff. But there's all sorts of permutations. But this is the basic way that you fill it out. This is how these are done. And I hope that's useful in helping you figure out how to first register with EDMS and then how to upload your petition. So welcome to People's Law School and the Access to Justice Initiative. And this is the beginning of your journey into the whole legal area and then really empowerment